Good afternoon and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Well, just when you think that things are maybe going to calm down a bit and you maybe think that the board are going to get away with one, boom! There's an explosion. Daizen Maeda drops an explosion. Now, I was criticised for saying that Daizen Maeda wanted away and that he would be sold in the last transfer window. Daizen Maeda had emptied his locker at Lennox Town, expecting to move before the end of the transfer window. It's all starting to fall into place, and it's the perfect storm for Michael Nicholson. Just when Michael Nicholson thought that things couldn't maybe get any worse, the truth is starting to come out, and the truth is starting to come out in dramatic form. It is unbelievable the way that this is. I don't think that we've seen anything as big as this, as in catastrophe, as in the ability of one individual to have such a catastrophic effect on the mismanagement of Celtic Football Club as Michael Nicholson. Not only did he not allow Daizen Maeda, after giving him assurances that he would be gone, after Daizen Maeda, and we all seen it, I think that when he blasted that goal, blasted the shot, and didn't have any emotional impact on him, no regret at missing, and the smirk from Brendan Rodgers in Kazakhstan, as if to say, you've made your point, son. Brendan Rodgers knows what players can do, when they're not in the mood, or what they can't do, and they can affect a game. Kyogo Furuhashi, look at all the missed opportunities that Kyogo missed. People are like, why is Kyogo off it? He wanted away. We're now stuck with 2 players minimum that wanted away. As the pressure mounts on Michael Nicholson this Friday afternoon, there has to be serious considerations by the PLC of Celtic. Dermot Desmond have to take this man to account. Do you know? Why don't you shut it and give us all peace and you try to offend your bitterness, because that's where you are, says Pat Clark. How did you manage to get on the channel, you fucking knobhead? Let me just double check this. How is it bitterness? You've got to laugh at some folk. You do have to laugh at some folk. But, yeah, subscribe to the channel just to come on and give abuse. Well, the upside is, we never need to see your face again. People can't handle the truth that Daizen Maeda wanted away. And I said that he would be sold for the fact that he... Yeah, Michelle, you're right. Where's the apologies? You're not going to get them. Just where is that? Where is it? Just trying to find something. Forget it. Just leave it. Let's get back into some of the comments. Banned. Not fair to the player. It would have been should have been sold. Nicholson must be fired. Let me just go back to a comment that Michelle made. Where's all the apologies for the scolding we got in July? We got told we were making things up, the rumours, the clickbait and views. And there's your proof this afternoon. You're right, Michelle. You're right. And people like Pat Clark, who says that we're just bitter, who subscribes to come onto the channel just to say, shut up, you bitter cunt, fails to see the irony of his comment. And I'll say, told you so. But anyway, we move on. The fact is that it's not just Daizen Maeda who's come out today. Jacob Broom and the Go Ahead Eagles have resurfaced to say that the winger was absolutely devastated that the deal would not go through after Celtic refused an asking price of £5 million. But then it ended up on deadline day paying £5.5 million for a different winger when we could have had someone that wanted to come to the club. And the fact that there's all sorts of stuff coming out today in the media. 21-year-old was left disappointed after the collapse of the deal. It's all pointing to Michael Nicholson. Michael Nicholson's position at Celtic FC is becoming untenable. And the fact that one of Michael Nicholson's appointments, this will surprise you, he's also an active director on Glasgow's Eastern Developments Limited. He's also an active director in that company. And he's been appointed there since 2021. I'm not even going to go into it because it's going down a can of worms that I don't want to go down with Nicholson. It's opening up a can of worms, and there's things going on in the background of Celtic that are absolutely, it is going to just blow heads fans off. It's going to blow the heads off fans. This is if the media don't start digging into what's going on, as in the mainstream media, there's just absolutely no words to the inept disregard for his responsibilities as CEO at Celtic. The inability to answer a phone to sell Yang. Daizen Maeda telling the club that he wanted to leave. And Celtic just not doing anything about it. You know, the Yang scenario, if you thought that was bad enough, we're now going to be left with players that don't want to be at the club. It will have an effect on the dressing room. The fact that Daizen Maeda, as soon as he gets away to his national team, starts going, yeah, I should have been here days ago. But Paul, the thing is, he can't leave. He can't leave. If he leaves now, he's away in January. That's, do you know, he's away in January, and like I said during the summer that if he had not signed a new contract, he come out and said that contract negotiations were on hold. In other words, he wanted away. But like Michelle said, don't know, we were spreading gossip, we were talking shite, and sorry to say we were right, but Michelle, you were right when it comes to it. The point of the story is, yeah, Magnus, Don Mackay wasn't a yes man, hence that's why he left. The fact of the story is that we now have a man running the club that thinks that he knows better than everyone else. And that's a dangerous scenario for not only a PLC, but a club like Celtic Football Club. And when it comes to performances in the league, if Daizen doesn't give 110%, if he's only given 80%, and Brendan Rodgers coming out and saying, look, he's not 100% fit. Brendan Rodgers also said to the media Daizen says he's got a little bit of an injury. He might not play at the weekend. The alarm bells were there for us all to see, but we didn't read between the lines. People didn't want to read between the lines. People didn't want to believe that Daizen Maeda... There was people coming on this channel and saying, Daizen Maeda's a family man. He'll not move because of his family. There was people convinced. There was people coming out and saying, Daizen Maeda wants to stay at Celtic. He does not want away. That's fact. Go back and check the comments. The amount of people that gave me stick and said I'm talking shite, Daizen doesn't want away, the bombshell has been dropped. Yes, he did. And with only 2 years on his contract, Celtic have missed the golden opportunity to maximise the money. We will be lucky to get £10 million for Daizen Maeda in the next window. Mark my word for it. If you think that getting 10 million for Kyogo was a bad deal, we're now only going to get around £10 million for Daizen Maeda. Guarantee it. And he'll be sold as early as possible in the next transfer. But just like Kyogo was. Usual bollocks stories. Now the window is closed and the rumours start running. Well, Kevin, it's Daizen Maeda that's come out and said it to the Japanese. Do you know? It's not bollocks stories now and rumours. You know? Open your eyes, mate. It's Daizen Maeda that come out, and you can go and look up the stories. Daizen said it to the Japanese media. But some people just don't believe it. Won't believe it. I never expected the Japanese players to stay this long. Neither did that, to be honest. He was playing Saturday. And then left on Monday. What's the point of the club wanted him here? No firm bird put in. Joseph, a club does not need to have, if it's all in writing, if it's all agreed with the player, a simple phone call gets the ball rolling. Look how quick it happened with Kyogo Furuhashi, right? He left the very next day after a Champions League game. The very next day. Caught everyone off guard. Everyone. Absolutely everyone. But anyway, at some point, every player wants to leave unless they're a fan of the club. Yeah. This is very true. Lanky, you cannot. You said that he would be here, and if he goes in August, you also said that you guaranteed that he didn't want to leave because of his family. I'm going to call you out on it, mate. You were the one that said he wants to stay here because his family. He'll sign a new contract. He wanted away. Just admit you got it wrong. Do you know? Just admit you got it wrong rather than say, I said he would be here in August. Do you know how crazy that makes you sound, mate? Daizen's come out to his national media and said, I'm late coming to the national team because I thought I was going to be leaving Celtic before now. But yet you're coming out and saying, I told you he would be here. That's just crazy talk, man. Do you know? It's just crazy talk. Just admit it. I admit it when I'm wrong. But not, you're like, I told you to still be here. So yeah, there they go. Thank you, Lanky. He is admitting it. And it's sad that players do want away. If he wants to go, let him start to rub off on other players. We can't. Joseph, the club knew that Kyogo wanted away. He said it in the media. He told Celtic that he wanted to leave. Daizen Maeda, he said, I had received an offer. I had been telling the club that I wanted to take the next step, but Celtic hadn't been able to make good reinforcements, so they told me I couldn't leave. Daizen Maeda's own word. He said, speaking ahead of the Japan versus Mexico and the US, he said, me joining the national team was delayed. I had been talking to Celtic until the last day, but it didn't work out. He wanted to leave. I don't know which part of he wanted to stay that you're all picking up from him, from Daizen Maeda's own words to his national media. closed book. It leaves Michael Nicholson. Not only does it leave Michael Nicholson in a precarious position, but it leaves Brendan Rodgers in an even worse one. Because what it does to Brendan Rodgers, what it does to Brendan Rodgers is it leaves him with a guarantee of 2 players that do not want to be at the club. Yes, this is a Celtic team that went through changes in the summer, albeit late. But when you've got players that do not want to play for the club, their head's not there 100%. Do you know? And this is what's going to be hard going into the next step. Brendan Rodgers has got... This is why Brendan Rodgers will not see Daizen Maeda as a number 1 striker. The penny's starting to drop with everything. The penny is completely starting to drop with absolute everything. But yet people have got their head in the sand saying, "You're fucking talking shite, mate." Dyson doesn't see me as a player upset the apple cart, which makes a statement of him. Yeah, but you can miss open goals. There's things that a player can do on the pitch to get his point across. And missing open goals is one of them. Just look back to Dyson's face and his reaction when he skied that ball clear on goal, skies it over the bar, bullets it, absolutely bullets it. And then look at Brendan Rodgers' face with his crossed arms. Go back and look at the footage, and Brendan Rodgers giving a smirk, because he knows. Managers know that players can do things to prove a point. And that's it. The penny dropped when we can see off Almaty. Some players clearly wanted his way before Almaty. Yes, Daizen Maeda being one of them. I'm sick of seeing Celtic being used as a stepping stone for a bigger club. Magnus, it's the way that the club's run, and unfortunately it's not going to go anywhere. Sugarman says, can't remember where I read it, but now Brendan says one player he doesn't want to sell in the summer was Rio. Probably because he knew that Maeda wanted away at that point. I did say all summer that I thought that Daizen Maeda would be the one that would be sold, and I stood by that because of the 2 years remaining on his contract, and that Celtic would have to get the maximum amount of money for him. For it to come out now, for Daizen to come out and said he had been in talks with Celtic, he wanted away, you know, it's complete disregard for the football department by the people that run the club. Yes, I'm saying that he cheated the fans. Players do it all the time in football. You ask any manager. If a player wants away, what's the easiest way for him to want away? Fuck it, just not even try in front of goal. Of course they do it. Broom Hatate was the Hatate replacement. Will come in January. We'll see about that. Yes, I am. Yes, and probably not only that one. And I'm saying that Kyogo done it as well. The look on Brendan Rodgers' face says it all to me. You can see he was not in the right frame of mind. Yep, I say that. Charlie says he doesn't think the players do that. Of course they do. Players can manufacture, if they're not happy at a club and they want away, players can let the club know, like, look, I'm in control here. I can decide whether I want to finish a shot or just fuck it. Do you know? So why is he saying on international coward? He's a coward. Why is he a coward? He's telling Joseph. He's telling the Japanese media why he was late turning up to the international camp. There's nothing cowardness about it. It happens all the time. You look at all the players that speak to the media. The issue is not that he spoke to international media. The issue is that Celtic fan media and the Scottish media don't ask the right questions. You can turn that one right around and you could say, do you know what? Maybe the right questions aren't getting asked. He'll cause a lot of unrest in the dressing room. I don't think he will, but what it will mean is he will be sold in the next window. Guaranteed. He will not be here. Simple as that. We need to support the team, every single player through this period for whatever's going on. Exactly, Falconhoof. I still stand by that. Together we are a lot stronger. But what it does do is this puts pressure. Do you know, this is pressure. Baz, he played on Sunday and he could have went on Monday. He wanted away before Sunday. This is the point that he was making. Daizen can't come out and make his feelings known from the off. Well, he did, and he had, to the people inside Celtic. He's not going to come out and say into the media, I want to leave Celtic. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen. He told Nicholson, he told Brendan Rodgers, that's all he needs to tell. He doesn't need to tell the fans. He doesn't need to even speak to the fans. Celtic have to allow players to speak to the media. The media just can't go up to the player and ask for a comment on a situation. Don't be surprised if it doesn't come from Japan. He will. It shows how untransparent our club is. Club businessman with for fans. Yeah, exactly. I think at the end of the January, I think he will. If he doesn't come back from Japan, he then forgoes his contract, and there's all sorts of legal stuff could come into it. You're right. I told him at the end of the season he wanted away. He had agreed terms with another club. I just think now that the positioning of Michael Nicholson has become even more untenable. If we thought that everything that we knew up until this moment was bad enough, I think that it's only going to get worse for Celtic. And the pressure on Nicholson now is through the roof. How can Nicholson, the question is how can Nicholson survive this? That is the real question. It's not about how Daizen performs between now and the next transfer window, because as a professional football player, Brendan Rodgers will know that they will want to get the best out of him, and he will want to play as good as he can in the frame of mind that he's in. He'll come back, Brendan will have a chat with him. He'll say, look, I know you wanted to go. He's going to have the exact same chat with Yang. The two of them have been lost in translation. There's nothing lost in translation at all. That's such a fucking UK media bullshit fucking thing to come out with. Sorry, mate, but it's not lost in translation. I think that Brendan Rodgers now has two very difficult conversations to have with players, and if he was talking to another club, Celtic must have given him permission. You've got to remember that there was a bid rejected by Celtic at the beginning of the window. He didn't have to speak to another club. The bid was put in place. Celtic rejected the bid. Go back my videos. 8.75 million bid rejected by Celtic at the beginning of the transfer window. And I said, he wants away. Celtic will sell him this window. But I was slated for it, saying that I'm just clickbaiting for clicks. Well, it turns out that it was all right. It was true. He did want away. He told the management that he wanted to pursue a higher level. He never spoke to the other club. He wasn't given permission, but he knew of the interest. His agent knew of the bid. The player has a conversation with the Celtic hierarchy. I want to leave. Simple as that. He was told, as soon as we get a replacement in, we'll leave. And he's come out and said, they didn't get a replacement in, so I was told I could not go. I had received an offer. We'll go over it again. Speaking to the Japanese media, me joining the national team was delayed. I had been talking to Celtic until the last day, but it didn't work out. I had received an offer. I had been telling the club that I wanted to take the next step, but the club hadn't been able to make any good reinforcements. So in the end, they told me I couldn't leave. The Champions League exit made it difficult. He said, I'd been talking to the club since before the end of the previous season. Since before the end of the season. So all your speculation, even last season, that he wanted to stay, he had been talking to the club since the end of last season that he wanted away. He told them, I wanted to take the next step, but we had league games and we had lost the Championship League qualifiers, so it made it difficult. Where was the Celtic team going through this period? Selling Daizen Maeda, selling Nicholson, potentially have sold Daizen Maeda. With all the other players that were going, this should have been a summer of a rebuild earlier on in the window, but it wasn't, and that all comes down to one person, and that one person is Michael Nicholson. Now, whether you like it or not, Michael Nicholson needs put under complete pressure, and 2 years, but when you want a player, Big Des, when you've got a player that has then went to the hierarchy of the club and said, I want to go, do you know, it's only going to end up one way. You're going to end up with a player that's extremely unhappy at the club, and we've seen how he's been playing. Early shite, never got a replacement in for letting Kyogo go and Kun. Yep, exactly. Maeda hasn't been making the runs back up the pitch the way he did last year. Mark, I rest my case. We're lucky he'll try and get a decent team. In my opinion, Brendan Rodgers has to make a stand. But what stand does he make? What stand does he make? If he doesn't play the player, he's shooting himself in the foot. It's not Brendan Rodgers' fault as manager that he's in this situation. It's not. So I can't understand. I'm not sure what Brendan can do apart from get the best out of the players that are here. Honestly, it's farcical at this point. We should always have a list of alternative realistic targets. There's a toxicity all the way through the club, and it shows when it comes to the happiness of players, and there's been so many players not putting in their shifts, which is true. It is true, and it leaves us all wondering. It leaves us all wondering this afternoon as we sit here. Yeah, Lanky, you're right. Players wanted away during the COVID season, didn't happen. We lost out in the 10. This year we're going to lose in the 56. Seems like history is repeating itself. But why is it repeating itself? Why? Because of the inept attitude of one man, and Michael Nicholson. When you believe that you're more important than the player, when you believe that you are better than everyone else around you, when you believe that your decisions and your decision making is right for the club when it is clearly not, there has to be change. There has to be change. And it's not Brendan Rodgers that needs to be changed. Rodgers appears weak and a yes man. I don't think he appears to be a yes man, because a yes man agrees with everything. And Brendan Rodgers has not agreed with everything, and said very late on in the transfer window that we needed to move quicker. We needed to take a collective responsibility. And maybe this was Brendan Rodgers pointing out. You know, Brendan's very good at articulating and pointing fingers at people without actually saying Nicholson needs to be called into account. He then uses the terminology that we need to collectively think about our actions during this period. and we collectively need to come to some kind of agreement on the way forward so that this doesn't happen again. It's very, very clever by Brendan Rodgers again. Well, not to take any blame for himself, really, but not to be pointing the fingers at Nicholson and saying, there's the issue. There's the issue. Nichols thinks he can control players' lives. He can go. Why is he putting up with this? Because when you're a manager that wants the best for the club, and you're getting paid $3 million a year, you do know if Brendan Rodgers walks away, what does he achieve? What does he realistically achieve? Brendan Rodgers walking away would create even bigger vacuum within the football side. Now you've got all the backroom staff that are there, but it creates a vacuum and it brings in insecurities into players' minds. Because you then have players that the manager brought in, and then if a new manager comes in, there's the insecurities that they've got to then prove themselves again to the new guy, which then has a direct effect on the performances on the field. And in a performance-based sport, you want to get as much as you can out of the players. Brendan Rodgers knows that he left abruptly the last time, and he said in the media, it didn't go down too well. It's not going to be happening again. I'm here at the end of the season, whether you like it or not. There's a lot of people that would love Brendan Rodgers to walk out in Celtic tomorrow. Absolutely love it. And the most of them are Huns. Because they know when he leaves, they'll start clicking at some point. Do you know, they don't think that they're going to go through another fucking season of just crap football for the whole season. They will click at some point. Will Daizen give 100% now, Baz? Says Edward. That is something that Brendan and Cole will need to work out. Tony Mowbray and Jesus, that's gone back. Brendan won't walk. Nicholson will have to sack him, and then the shit will hit the fan. Yep. Did you see the Celtic goal against Germany? Yes, and I seen all the media saying that Celtic lost out. See if you'd watched the Slovan Bratislava game against Kara Almaty. Strelic was garbage. If you think that Adam Maeda was bad in those two games, Strelic was even worse. One goal doesn't make... Do you know, you could pull up Adam Maeda's goal against Rangers in the cup final and say, fuck, did you see that goal? Adam Maeda scored. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He was crap. He was absolute garbage, and Celtic watched that and went, nah, we'll maybe give that one a miss. Because 10 million for a player, 8, 9, 10 million that wasn't on fire. Maybe it will be one that got away. Anyway, that's your Celtic news this afternoon. Whatever happens, we are Celtic through and through. And we are Celtic supporters through and through. And we can all have disagreements, but then they come on here and start name calling and stuff, because you just get banned for the channel. And really, I don't care. Don't know. If I don't see your comment ever again, well, fine. Explains Daizen form. It does this. Really, Baz, this is an old movie. Move on, man. We will survive up to January. Let's see what the players do. It's not an old movie. It's not. This is... We need... If you don't put pressure on the Celtic... Right, James. If you don't put... You're obviously happy with the status quo. By that comment. You're obviously happy with the status quo. And it's like, fuck it. It's over, done, we put it to bed. We move on. This is news that's breaking today. The shit is hitting the fan today, mate. And I'll not let it go. And there's 29 other fan media sites that have signed up not to let it go. There's hundreds of Celtic supporters organisations that have signed up to not let it go. This channel will not let it go. On that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are all around the world. And remember that Celtic will be here after Daizen Maeda. Celtic will be here after Michael Nicholson. And Celtic will be here after the end of the season when that man leaves.